Hey, everybody. Hi. How's it going?
I'll sit down here.
Hey, is this on? It is on.
Yeah, it's on.
Hello.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, for being a part of the animation industry. I'll have our guests introduce themselves and some things that they've worked on.
Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Matt Brawley. I was a showrunner for Disney for like 3 or 4 years. I've worked on animated shows like Gravity Falls, Steven Universe,
Excuse
Big
me,
City
no.
Greens.
Showrunner for Amphibia.
Yeah. And lastly, most recently, I ran my own show. It was called Amphibia for, it was 3 years on the air, 3 seasons. We wrapped up in 2022. I'm so excited to be here. This is a great panel. You guys are gonna lose your minds when you find out what these people have worked on. All right, next.
Hi, I'm Cissy Jones. I'm a voice actress. I've been in The Owl House. I'm Lilith Clawthorne in The Owl House. Thank you. Woo! Most recently, Ark Survival. I play the Gladiatrix. She's really nice. I played Demeter in Blood of Zeus and Kaguya Otsutsuki in Naruto and other stuff.
Hello, my name is Peter Raymundo. I was a character animator for Walt Disney Studios. So I worked on Mulan. I helped animate Jane in the movie Tarzan, The Emperor's New Groove. I worked on Cusco Llama on that. I helped animate Lilo in the movie Lilo and Stitch. And then I worked on Brother Bear. I worked on Tanana. She was and then I helped animate Tiana in The Princess and the Frog. And then I also helped on Beauty and the Beast, Pocahontas, and The Lion King.
Oh my God.
So we have a great panel for y'all today. Just a question for the audience. How many of y'all are animators? Oh, we have another guest.
Howdy.
Welcome to the living room.
Hello.
All right, if you can just introduce yourself and what you've worked on.
Okay. My name's Sarah-Nicole Robles. I'm on a show called Owl House. I play Luz. I'm on Kung Fu Panda Dragon Knight. I did some scratch on Moana, on Encanto as Mirabelle and Moana. Yeah, that's stuff. I'm a resident. Yes, exactly.
And
So
so
she's
we'll-
the fish lady or something. I don't know.
Thank you, sir.
How we'll structure this panel is that we'll have 30 minutes of questions and then 30 minutes of Q&A. Because we started a little later, I'll extend it about 5 minutes for the Q&A from fans. Awesome. So from the audience, make some noise if you're an artist, animator, or aspiring voice actor. Awesome. So that's a lot of y'all. So what I'll do is kind of tailor the questions to just working in the animation industry and just some insights for y'all. And then make some noise if you're just a fan of works such as Mulan, Gravity Falls, or Owl House. Great. Awesome. So first question, let's start from the beginning. What inspired you to get started in the animation industry?
Cool, just go down the line. Does that sound good? So for me, I always loved to draw. Always drew Mortal Kombat characters and Transformers when I was a little kid. I was a sick kid, so I was like, stuck in my room a lot, and that was a way to kind of like, have this big adventure and stuff by drawing. But I didn't know that I really wanted to do art for a living until like career fair in my high school. There was an animator who was visiting us from Pixar. His name was Bobby Podesta. He drew like Lumiere on the chalkboard. He was like, $80,000 a year, this could be you. And I was like, I want to do it, absolutely. So after that, I felt like everything was set for me. I really wanted to get into animation. It was all I wanted. So much so that like, my grades like plummeted right after that because I was like, I'm just going to focus on art from now on. But for me, that was like my big first kind of like step into wanting to be an animator.
I cannot draw. I draw stick figures real good. I remember telling my parents I wanted to be an actor when I was about 6, and my dad was like, no, you don't. You want to do the finance and business and make money. So I didn't pursue it for a very long time. I actually worked in the Silicon Valley for about 10 years after college. Super hated my life. And I was talking with my husband, and he was like, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, I don't know. I just want to be a voice on The Simpsons. You can't, whatever. You probably just got to be famous. It's fine. And then 2 weeks later, I heard Nancy Cartwright, who's the voice of Bart Simpson, on the radio talking about voiceover and how's this amazing job. And oh, by the way, there's a voiceover school like an hour away from you. And I was like, I'm sorry, go on. So I called that school that day. I started taking classes that week. And after a couple of years of study and a lot of money, I was able to get an agent and start auditioning. No, different one.
I kind of always wanted to perform in like one way or another. And I think I started with like musical theater because like I wanted to sing, but like I wasn't the best. So like in a crowd, I sound really good. And I liked movies, so I was like, I'll just like do acting because that makes sense, or I'll direct or something. And once I really got into it, I'm so sorry. I have like a giant honey lozenge. I have, I'm not responding well to Georgia allergies. So, I went to high school. I was lucky enough, there's like a magnet school right by me where I was able to like study theater, and I was like, oh, I do really like this. And then I pursued that in college. At my college, we do like a showcase. So I was able to meet with some people over at Disney, and I got my manager out here in LA. No, not out here, out there. And yeah, just lots and lots of auditions, lots and lots of classes, and I got some stuff. That was it.
Wow. Well, I'm from Ohio, and I've always liked to draw a lot. That was like my identity. I like drawing. So around my junior year of high school, this is way back, but for a couple different reasons, I was like spiraling into a very downwards, basically. And I've told this story many times. It's true, and it's actually, I'm a very emotional person in general, but like this moment literally changed my life. I felt like it was my destiny. But I went downstairs one day to get a drink, and my parents were watching, my family was watching The Wide World of Disney, and there was a behind-the-scenes segment on the making of The Little Mermaid. And it totally it totally changed my life. I mean, I knew, looking at that, people who I'd end up knowing in time, being here with Jody Benson. I mean, we've met now before and now, but it's like, I knew that was what I was going to do. It was like, and from that moment, that day, nothing stopped me. I knew from making of The Little Mermaid that that's what my destiny was.
It's really beautiful seeing how passionate you are, but even with passion comes challenges. What are some unique challenges and rewards on working on video games, animated series, films, or commercials?
So many challenges. I think the number one challenge for me was art school. So I went to Cal Arts, I went to animation school, and I think I had just the roughest time there. And I'm sure many of you relate to this, but there's no bigger critic than yourself. You know what I mean? And man, year after year, I was just beating myself up at that place. It was the kind of thing where like you leave high school and you're like, I'm the best artist in my school. And then you go to like college and you're like, I'm on the bottom here, you know what I mean? And it took me many years to kind of like find my voice and find my confidence again. Ironically, my confidence came when I started like actually working, which is a really funny thing because it was like, oh, I'm being paid to learn. Whereas like at school, I was like sinking all this money to like feel like a failure a little bit. But like, so to me,
that might be at all art schools.
Yeah, that's art school. Yeah,
acting school is the exact same.
Totally. I'm like, oh, I'm paying a lot of money to feel really bad. Yeah, totally. But thankfully, I feel like that taught me so much about like, don't be a perfectionist. I was the kind of animator who like I would animate it and then I would redo it and then I would redo it and I would redo it and then the film was just not getting done. You know what I mean? So it was only later that I learned to kind of have to like the art of finishing something. You've heard this, I'm sure, that like perfect is the enemy of done. It's very true. And anyway, that was a big deal for me. So that's one big struggle for me.
I would say any day I don't work is a day I don't get paid. As an actor, we're contractors. So I was actually in a session for The Walking Dead when I went into labor, and I was back to work 2 weeks later. So it's a constant grind. It's a constant hustle. It's constantly making sure that you're at the top of your game and taking classes. And, we don't make the millions of dollars that everyone thinks we make. I promise you we don't.
Do not do this to be rich.
Yeah. So it can be a challenge. It can be a challenge.
Yeah, I was in another panel earlier, and a similar question came up. Voiceover in particular, I wouldn't say, has like more challenges. It's just the being a contractor and choosing to be unemployed constantly. A lot of people think like all of us are like offer only. Like I did not choose to be loose. They let me audition and let me do a callback and let me, so it takes like a little bit of surrender and a little bit of zen to just be like trusting that you're doing this because you love it and because it's where you're supposed to be. But yeah, you could have a dry spell. You got to have a good savings, and you have to have other interests outside of this because, yeah, some weeks I have so many things I like can't sit down and have a meal. And then there'll be months where I'm like, wow, I can't really reorganize my closet anymore. There's not much left to do. So I think that's the hardest, just figuring out your own pace for me.
Wow. So that's a little bit different life, doing the acting. So my biggest challenge, I think, and maybe this would be helpful at all for people that aren't like in the industry or maybe you're aspiring to be in the industry, is it was in college for me. And for me, it's a little bit different. I mean, you went to CalArts where, I didn't learn animation. I got hired at Disney because I could draw so well. And I think that I found, not like for me, I never waver in belief in myself really, but I don't know, I hate to say it, but I felt like I knew that's what I was going to do. But I say this, my point is that most of the people who did not make it to Disney at that point is because they didn't really believe that that's who they were, and they didn't believe that it was possible. And they put the job of being a Disney animator on such a pedestal that it became like an unreachable goal for them. And it was at that point in time. To be a character animator, because you had to draw and stuff like that. It's just, and I think that's, if you feel like you put this industry too much of on a pedestal, you might not make it. It's doable. It's doable by everybody, but you just have to, the biggest hurdle is really believing that it's you.
Those are really great insights. Just to kind of delve further into, I know that y'all are essentially freelancers. Voice actors and animators have two different unions. How did the SAG-AFTRA strike impact working together?
You guys can probably speak on from a voice acting point of view, but for us, it was a little bit dicey because animation TV actors specifically were not impacted, which was very awkward because like solidarity, you know what I mean? We're all trying to stay together and we're all trying to like draw a line together, but I can't tell you like how much glee there was in the producers' eyes when they were like, actually, you know what? The animation actors, they're not part of the strike, so they're gonna come into work, baby. And it felt wrong, you know what I mean? Because we're all trying to but it's very nuanced, and I remember having to read for the first time, like, okay, who's included in this strike? So it impacted us in the sense that we're all in this ship together, we really are. And when it's dry around town, it's dry in animation. When live action's not doing well, and when the entire industry's not doing well, we get hit as well. So that's my perspective on that. Yes, indeed. That's true. And we got to have some positive questions eventually on this thing. I don't want it to be a downer. Yes, clobbered is a good word.
Well, if I can pop in here, for actors, SAG-AFTRA has over 70 contracts. So when SAG-AFTRA goes on strike, it's one contract that goes on strike. So the TV theatrical contract is the one that went on strike. That's on camera, that's movies, stuff like that. So the animation contract was not struck. The video game contract was not struck. We're in
Nickelodeon was not
conversations.
struck.
Nickelodeon was not
Has
struck.
their own contract.
Yeah,
Commercials,
so-
on-camera commercials were not struck.
Yeah, that said,
Animation voices was.
yes,
Yeah,
feature animation was.
feature.
That said, some of the choices that they made in the new contract, specifically regarding AI, is real scary.
And yeah, let's delve deeper into that. So AI was like a huge sticking point for that. How now that it's been like 6 months after there's been kind of an interim resolution, what's been the latest developments on AI and
People
voice
trying to
acting?
sneak
This
shit
is not
back
going to
into
make it more
contracts.
positive. This is not going to make it more positive.
We're seeing a lot of contracts have sneaky language get put in there to say that they own everything in perpetuity throughout the known universe in any technology existing now or to be developed in the future, and that is not hyperbole, that is the exact language. So there's a lot happening on a lot of different fronts. I spend a lot of my time being an advocate around artist rights for AI. I have a startup company where we're trying to do the right thing with AI. So this is something I spend a lot of time talking about. There's a lot going on. There are a lot of people that want to do the right thing, and there are a lot of people that don't. So as artists, as actors, as people who work in a creative industry, it is our job to be informed. It is our job to read our contracts. I'm going to say that again. It is our job to read our contracts. Because if you sign something, there's nothing you can do. Yeah.
And then I guess on that note, what can fans do to take away power from these AI systems?
Say that again?
Take power away from AI. To take power away from like
These AI systems.
using AI.
Studios, or even I've seen instances where maybe your voice or your art might be used in an AI system.
Shaming works. It really does, right? Like, I mean, when people rally behind like certain individuals who have been screwed over or had their voice copied or anything, honestly, and like really major players making a stink, like Scarlett Johansson or whatever, when like
Yeah.
her voice got used in that.
I never loved her
Yeah.
until this.
Yeah,
it was
exactly,
like,
exactly.
Like, I didn't wish her ill or anything, but now I'm just like, you get after it, ScarJo. Like,
yeah. It was
but-
so crazy because like they asked, she said no, and they did it anyway. But that
Yeah.
really sums up
and
the
they
whole
named
equation.
it her. They
Yeah,
said,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
She, like her, it's her. And I was like, that's so, it's, I'm gonna bounce off of that. So like you, the internet is infinite, right? So that's why we make such a stink about contracts and stuff. Because then it legally, at least, people are going to do things. AI is infinite, right? But at least legally, then we have like some recourse. There's a plan, there's a strategy. So the current contract, the interim one that we have, is a little tough because there's just, if you are well educated in like AI and the technology and contracts and stuff, there's a lot of loopholes. And so the best thing I think fans can do is like, I know they say like, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. So people have taken my voice and Sissy's voices and put them on these websites so you can make me say anything you want. And that is cool. And I'm sure for a lot of like young budding animators, that's like a really fun tool, right? Because then you can bring your projects to life. But you have to know, like, we do not consent to that. It took me a long time to learn how to act. And I am not perfect, but I spent $250,000 at Carnegie Mellon, and I deserve to be paid for my work. You know, it is not a...
Amen.
Yeah, I loved college. I loved Carnegie Mellon. I couldn't have learned more. But yeah, when people use our voices, use these AI machines, you're telling them like, yeah, there's a market for this. So please don't. I know you are being kind and generous and you're a fan of our voices, but please do not use those. None of those exist legally right now.
None of them.
None of them. And we have asked them to take our voices down whenever we find them. So if you see me anywhere, please let me know, like DM me and I will email them. And a lot of them have said, nope. Yep. So that's disrespectful. What?
It doesn't matter, and here's why. Because right now, and I'm sorry, I promise I will get
We're
off this.
taking over.
Right now, in the United States of America, in the year of our Lord 2024, not a single one of you or us owns the publicity rights to your voice. You do not own the right to your voice. So
And
nothing
actually-
can be done right now unless Scarlett Johansson makes a stink.
And wins.
I was in Washington, D.C. 2 weeks ago. I met with 18 congresspeople and senators about passing a law that gives us the right to our voice, because right now people are getting phone calls from loved ones who've been kidnapped, and please send
Or,
10
I'm in the
grand.
hospital, I need a
There
credit
is
card.
no recourse right now.
Excuse me, we'll hold.
We'll get to
Q&A.
questions, I promise. But yeah, so there are 2 bills right now that are working through. There's the No Fakes Act and the No AI Fraud Act, and those are both working through the Congress and the Senate. And of all the things that are working through, that has the most likelihood of passing because it's super bipartisan, because it affects the politicians. So let your representatives know that you care and that you would like to own the rights to your voice.
So we have about 5 minutes until the Q&A portion. So our lovely runner back there, if you can line up behind him. Oh, hold on till he gets there. And what he'll do is just ask you what question you're intending to ask. Please keep it respectful. And please don't make our voice actors strain their voice. And then, yeah, we'll have a great Q&A session. Awesome. So I guess our last question before we head into Q&A. I know we've kind of had a lot of heavy questions. How do you maintain creativity and avoid burnout over long projects or your career?
Great question. I'll start and we can just go down. But like, I think it's really important not to forget the things that you love about animation or whatever. So for me, really simple. I think it's really great to have like an inspiration board where I like pin up like a Spirited Away poster or whatever movie or song or book or anything, Little Mermaid, that got you into this, you know, business in the first place, and like remind yourself like, I love these things. I love animation. It's difficult. There's going to be a lot of burnout, but it started from a place of passion and excitement.
That. Next.
For me, it's definitely more taking care of my mental health outside of this. So I am a whole person. This is a job, and it's a wonderful job, and it is absolutely what I was like meant to do for sure. Like I felt that, but it's kind of like when you're unhappy at home or with yourself, or you're burnt out. That bleeds into everything. You'll be at work and be like, wow, I can't, you know? And especially like with what we do, like no one wants to hear Luce be like super like bitter or nasty. That she's like a bubbly teenage girl. So you have to be able to take care of yourself outside of your job and have a life outside of your job so you are happy, and that your job is a privilege. Like you get to go do that. But if you have no life and you have nothing else outside of that, you're not feeding your soul enough, you know? You're only feeding one part of you.
Well, no, I agree. I just look at other art, especially, and like, yeah, I'm traditional art for me. Like, I work for nowadays. I do a lot of stuff for Marvel, and so I like listen to. I work on like stuff for Spider-Man, and like I'll like I love Tobey. I'm my age, but to me, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. but I'll like just put on that, and like when I'm doing one of like the books, I'll just like listen to the same soundtrack again and again and again. You know, that beginning with that. But music is a big deal for me, or just like looking at some like I don't know, like a Frank Miller book or something, you know, and just be like, this is the bar. You know, try to live up to this.
Well, thank you. We'll go ahead and open it up for Q&A.
Hello there. Hi. I know, being here in Atlanta, it's the hometown of Cartoon Network, and everybody knows that it's been under a lot of stress. All the removals from streaming, from Max and other marketplaces. Everybody is. I wonder why it hasn't been a full-on. What happened to Infinity Train thing, like movement that hasn't gone on for the past good bit. But I'm like, do you know, I know you work at Disney, but do you know people at Cartoon Network, and do you know, kind of give us sort of a barometer of what's going on, why, and...
I thought Cartoon Network was bought by Warner Brothers, so Cartoon
it's
Network
owned
is
by
no
Warner-
longer.
It's owned by Warner Brothers.
Yeah, but you mean like specifically that studio, right?
Yeah.
Like that brand?
I know it went through the merger with WBA from an operations standpoint,
Yeah.
but that was planned, by AT&T.
Yeah, for sure. So I do know a lot of people who work there. The TV community is very tight. I will say that, I don't want to speak too much on it. I think a lot of those IP are still being worked on and still being kept alive, you know, and I think the number one thing you can do as a fan of that work is to support the people behind it in whatever they endeavor next. So, for example, Owen Dennis, he's working on that Among Us show, and if you want to throw him like some love, make sure to check that out when it premieres. You know what I mean? But like, you know, WB is in a bind, and as you see more mergers happen, you're going to see this happen over and over again, because I'm sure you've all noticed that there was no real consequence for the strategy of like binning this stuff for, you know, for taxes or whatever. And so, hey, there's going to be a lot of imitation from other studios, and I don't think we've seen the last of that practice. But Cartoon Network as a brand, they're still making stuff. It's just, albeit, I think, a lot reduced.
Yeah, I know, yeah. What was I about to say? Who knows how long Zassa's going to be there if they lose the NBA, you know?
For sure, absolutely. Great question, thank you.
I had a quick question for Matt in regards to plot and directing, because I've been working on self-teaching myself 3D animation for half my life now, and I'm getting close to trying to make my debut into the indie animation scene. And I'm hoping you can give me a bit of advice when it comes to taking your story and all the different directions you can go with parts of that story and consolidating that into one precise timeline and not second-guessing yourself about it.
Well, you might always second guess yourself, and I had the advantage of having a production schedule, so like there's only a certain amount of second guessing that we can do when like all these people are counting on you, you know what I mean? But I will say, you know, really decide on what your story is about. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of these shows are about many things. Start from one thing. So for Amphibia, it was always about this girl becoming a better person over time. And I put that on a Post-it note, and I put that on a board, and anytime I got confused, I could look back at that and say to myself, this is what I want people to take away from this experience. So I highly recommend doing something like that. That might help you focus a little bit.
All right, thank you. And shout out to Cool Aunt Lilith and Good Witch Luke.
Hell yeah, hell
What up,
yeah.
fam? That's like great acting advice too. Like you always come back to like their core, and I always have like a few words that I'm like, okay,
It's all
what is
storytelling. It's all the same thing.
exactly? Yeah.
All right, hey, I'm Lex. I just want to say thank you guys for coming in and speaking to all of us. It's a privilege. It is not a right, and I just want to say thank you again for coming in and speaking to us. I had one question. So, to make it in the big studio climate, do you think a BA in art, animation, or design is required, or can personal projects speak more?
I can tell you now, it's not required at all. I got hired in the 1995, and I didn't graduate from CCAD. Disney at that point hired me and almost everybody before we graduated. So I knew I wanted to go to Disney, but I had a full scholarship to CCAD, and when I got there in '91. They had, in 91 or 92, from my school, Disney was hiring 2 people a year, and they even made a rule, because this guy, I guess what I'm saying, he got hired from his sophomore year, and he became a supervisor at Disney, but they made the rule that you couldn't leave school, CCAD, until at least your junior year. You couldn't even apply to Disney. So even though if you're the best person in the whole school, you couldn't go anyway. Man, my 4th year, though, I was out. I mean, it was like, but not no one, but almost no one graduated in a 10-year span. But I can tell you, for what I do, no one asked me what my degree is. My degree is 9 movies, you know.
Thank you.
What about from a voice
I don't have an
acting
acting background.
Yeah.
I have a business degree. Okay.
I think it's kind of like, frankly, like unless you're a doctor or like an engineer, people are not caring about your diploma in a lot of fields. I think just get the training you need to get your skills up to par. But there are just as many actors who are literally like, I don't know, I just do it, as people who like went to Juilliard. And honestly, I'm not going to say one result is more convincing, because I know school isn't for everyone, and I've seen actors focus way too much on being good at school, and they kind of lose some of their spark and their love for it. So just work hard and train and learn as much as you can, and
Put your heart into it.
yeah.
It's all about your skill level. I mean, that's and it shows.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi.
As an animation major, the industry the state of it is pretty scary right now, but it's still fun. Met a lot of great people. One of my professors actually worked on Princess and the Frog, in fact. My main question for everyone is, I know you've touched on this a little bit before, but How close-knit would you say the community is? Because our professors do say that sometimes pretty much getting one foot in the door can be a pretty big stepping stone into getting a bunch of other opportunities. So how true is that?
I can say that's very true. It's hard to get in.
Right.
It's hard to get in because even if you know people, it does help if you know people because at least they can put your stuff on top of the slush pile, and if you have the goods, then that can help you out a lot. But yeah, once you're in, I've never applied for anything. I said I'd do the stuff for Marvel. I mean, I didn't apply for that or anything. I know they're all the guys that own Premise, this entertainment. They're all Disney animators, and Dominic. I don't know if you know Dominic. Anyway, but. He went to Colors anyway, yeah, no, man, it's very tight. When you see those Academy Awards and you see the people say they want to thank their Disney family, oh, we're a family. All right, I love those people.
Do you happen to know Richard Draper?
If he's in LA, then no. Like, I mean, like my
He's here, actually.
at least I'll say my Florida Disney family. But no, I mean, it's very tight. I mean, we love each other. I mean, we go to these huge parties together and we get hired together and often fired together. We have to go on strike together. I mean, it's a tight-knit community.
One of the best things I learned working in the Silicon Valley was who you know will get you to the table, what you know will get you through the door.
Yes.
So it's good to have connections, but if you don't have the skill to back it up, you won't get that connection again.
It's super tight. And animators, we love gossip. Oh, do we love gossip. And it's one of those things you got to be really careful about. You got to be so careful because, like, it's going to get back to you. Yeah.
We're aware.
Great, all right. Bless.
I want to say one thing, though, that I've always heard Dana say is, like, for Owl House, they're also just, like, looking for talented people. So sometimes getting if you're making your art, I know it's scary putting your stuff on socials, but like getting into those groups, like I know literally animators from Owl House that were chosen off the internet because someone was like, I always see this person's art and it's always top notch. I'd love to talk to them. So, they're all out there looking for the next awesome person to work with. So, yeah.
I totally agree with that. That's totally true. People respect goods. Right? I mean, if you have talent, no one's going to shut you down. People, they want to meet you, and yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hello.
Hi.
My question is directed to Matt Braley. So something I've noticed is a lot of showrunners, show creators, come from animation backgrounds. They're primarily animators. And I was wondering what you would recommend as the best route from someone wanting to get to that position, but coming from a writing background.
So I was about to say that I think the vast majority of showrunners tend to be either storyboard artists or writers. So I do think writing is a way that you can get to that position. And actually, the industry sort of like the pendulum swings on the studio appetite for something that's artist-driven or writer-driven. You know what I mean? There's a lot of projects these days that are writer-driven, and the showrunners are writers. So I think you're in good shape. Just develop your visual language when you write your scripts. Think visually. That's the best advice I could give, and it'll give you a really great shot at what you're looking for. But writing you're in good shape. That's good.
Okay, thank you.
The visible adjusting it down for me. Thank you.
Presents. It gave you presents.
Thank you. So, good afternoon. Also, good to see you again. Quick question for you specifically. Where did you get your little Tamagotchi? That thing is adorable.
Where are you? Kuma made it for me. Kumalet Cosplay.
I know who they are.
Yeah, on Etsy. Yeah, I just got it today, and I was like, "It's an egg friend." Etsy. Yeah, I would go on their Instagram. Kumalet Cosplay's Instagram, and like probably it's linked there. Where are you, Kuma? I saw you before. Okay.
She's napping.
Okay.
All
Fair.
right, now for my actual question. So how do you feel, established in your fields, more or less, for advocating for those newer people, those newer voice actors, or those newer, projects, writers, animators?
I personally do not feel established in my field. I know you're laughing.
I
It's
said
just
more or less.
I don't. Sissy's got like 10 times the credits that I have, so I want to. It's not me.
I said more or less, don't worry.
Less.
I sit on the board of the National Association of Voice Actors. It's a nonprofit advocacy group, and we spend so much time advocating for the voice acting community, union actors, non-union actors, actors that live overseas, everything in between. And we're working on projects around AI. We have a free writer on our website right now that is downloadable to any human on the planet, whether you're a member or not, that you can attach to any of your contracts to make sure that your recording sessions aren't used for AI machine learning. We also work on wages. We offer access to healthcare for voice actors because too many weren't qualifying under SAG, and we lost some of our own in COVID. It's just constant. So lots.
And with the,
Just one question, please, so we can get to everyone. Thank you.
okay.
Great question. Thank you.
Yes, this question is to Matt. So what inspired the character of Marcy?
You know, there's a lot of me in Marcy. I was kind of the nerdiest one of my trio. And do you remember there's a scene where like she's like desperately trying to show them like Lord of the Rings and they've fallen asleep?
I remember that one.
Yeah, that's like literally happened to me. But with the anime Slayers, I was like, you guys gotta watch this show. It's the best thing you've ever seen. And like they were asleep.
Yes, kind of a self-insert kind of character.
Yeah, a little bit. But that's why, you know, I'm very, very hard on the character too in the story.
Hi, this is for all of you. What was a mistake you made and what did you learn from it?
Oh my God.
Not saving enough money. I got hired at Disney at the height of like our power, and like the salaries were like ridiculous, and I thought it was going to be forever. and I was young and in my 20s, and now I'm not. Save your money.
I don't think I put my acting career first, maybe from like a bit of not believing in myself enough, but I was just very like fear driven for like way too long. And I didn't let go of my survival job. When I first moved to LA, I had 4 jobs. That was for about 5 or 6 years until I put myself in the hospital. And then I had like 2 or 3 for a couple of years. And then I had 2. And then I had 2, and it was like 2021, and everyone's like, hey, your show's like halfway through its 2nd season. Are you gonna quit the Apple Store? And I was like, no, because just like, what if I don't book the next thing, and then I can't pay my student loans? And so it took like literally lots of therapy to get to that point. But as soon as I quit, I booked like 2 things the week after I quit, and I was like, wow, and I have time to prepare. I am such a better actor. So, you know, those survival jobs are second. You gotta put your art first. You gotta put your passion first. So now I'm trying to do that, and yeah, still save money.
I didn't take care of my mental health, and I poured everything into VO. I ate, slept, and breathed voiceover for 10 years, and I did well, and that's great. But it's an industry that doesn't care. So it's like I had to really learn how to like say no to certain things because, you know, I'm worth more than basement barrel prices on stuff, and take care of my mental health for myself and my family.
Oh my God, and like I joined SAG, I had no idea what I was doing. I'm so sorry. Just one more thing. Read what you're entitled to as part of your union stuff. Like, I did not know I was supposed to get breaks.
Because there are people that will take advantage of that. They'll plow
I
right
did not know
through.
I was supposed to get breaks until the Owl House when Eden's like, okay, do you want to take 5? And I was like, for what? We have 4 hours. I would just be like holding my pee and like drinking 6 coffees. So yeah, I did literally, that's another benefit of knowing people and who you know. You guys can look out for each other and be like, hey, do you know we have this? And you'd be like, no, great, cool. So take care of yourself.
Absolutely. I wish I had compared my salary with my peers earlier. You know what I mean? I think that's a big thing, and we're all conditioned to like, that's no good, don't do that. Like all your supervisors will be like, you did what? But like you should absolutely be doing it like ASAP.
Thank you so much.
Hey, love it.
Hey, so my question is, what is some advice you give to any like newcomers in the industry who are just trying to like make their voice heard and their presence known and like making connections, stuff like that?
As animators or as actors?
As both. I mean, I'm an artist specifically, but either, just in the industry in general.
I would say for actors, take classes. It's a great way to meet other actors or animators, or like people are always like, how do I get into voiceover? And I'm like, well, find an animator who's looking for someone to voice their cartoon, you know, because most of the time people are just using their friends. So if your friends are animators and you're looking to get into voiceover, you'll probably get more opportunities, you know, like how many times do you all step in on each other's shows for scratch and then they're like, actually, it's funny, like, let's do that. That's, you know, people like to work with their friends. Right? Why would you keep hiring strangers if you could work with people you love? So, classes, make friends.
I like what you were saying about like the survival job, but like go all in on what you're doing, man, because like if you want to be a pro and act like a pro and live. I mean, to me, I was the people who always made it, and when they're out there, you're like obsessed with your thing, and people who are halfway, they're not on the same level. Just be obsessed with it.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say Twitter and Instagram and Tumblr are fantastic tools, but can also drive you mad when you're like looking at some 13-year-old who's like a better animator than Studio Trigger. You know what I mean? So I would just be really careful about how much you like are immersing yourself in that stuff. When I was in school, I was having a rough time and there was no Twitter. You know what I mean? So I can't imagine kids now just trying to develop their skills and are just comparing themselves to the best of the best.
So we're about at the 15-minute mark for questions.
Great question.
What was your most successful part in the animation industry, like when it came to a line or a second of animation, something like that?
Well, I got canceled on Twitter, so that was fun. No, I worked on a video game called Firewatch, and I won a really fancy award for it, and I wasn't expecting to, and it was really nice.
BAFTA award-winning Cissy Jones.
Oh my goodness.
And then I got canceled on Twitter. Lilith got canceled on Twitter, not me.
Was the question like, what was your biggest like
Achievement or success?
Oh, achievement or success. Well, we made 3 seasons of Amphibia, and I'm super proud of that, man. We did it all the way to the end. Finished the story, sent the girls home. I was terrified of getting canceled because then I was like, well, then they'll be stuck in Amphibia forever, you know?
And it was perfect start to finish.
You are so
It
sweet.
really is.
Who could cancel you?
Dana.
I don't know if it's any success or anything, but I worked on Lilo, right? And Lilo's my favorite movie, but my kind of the highlight of my career almost has nothing to do with my career, but it was on the wrap party and the wrap screening of Lilo and Stitch. I sat behind Michael Eisner and Roy Disney and like Tia Carrera and stuff like that, and like so. I mean, Roy Disney has passed away, but I mean, it's because of him that I felt like we were even where we were at that point. But to see my name on that screen and Roy Disney right in front of me, I cried like a baby.
Yeah, I think seeing your name, it's like on the screen is, you got like a special thank you on Moana. And everyone's like, what'd you do? And I'm like, it's really long and complicated, and technically none of it's in the final film, but it was so dope, and I was there, and I made friends. Same thing when Encanto. People are like, oh my God, who were you? And I was like, my character doesn't have a face, and it has one line. But my name was on the screen, and you know, like I got to meet all those incredible people. Like I got to sit on a couch next to Wendy Malick, and she said my name, and she was like, oh my God, Nikki. And I was like, threw up on myself. So I would say, yeah, everything that I've gotten to do with Disney has just been like super surreal. With Kung Fu Panda, like Jack Black walked in, and I was like, it's. I was not allowed near him. He was like 90 feet away, but I was like, so yeah, I just tried to like breathe his oxygen. Yeah.
I once walked into a recording session as Stan Lee was walking out.
Wow.
Oh my
And I sat on the same stool. You guys, I have shared butt heat with Stan Lee.
Oh my God, I fixed Stanley's phone in the Apple store. And I went home, I was like, I touched something Stanley touched! Okay.
Hi.
Hello.
Quick question. I'm a storyboard artist trying to build up my portfolio, and question is, I know in order to get better, you have to keep doing it. And in order for me to keep doing it, I need scripts. Now, I'm not normally a writer, but I started writing scripts. I have a few that I'm working on. So, the real question is that a good idea?
Oh my God,
I'm not good at it, but like.
Oh my God, it's a fantastic idea. And also, like, actors should write, and we should all write because.
I write very badly.
But
And
hey,
then
you're
I
doing
throw
it.
it out. Yeah, but I write it and then I'm like,
do
wow,
it.
this is
Absolutely.
swill.
Oh my God. Dude,
Yeah.
you are doing the absolute right thing. And everybody says this all the time, but like if you can write your own parts, you know what I mean? And now
And also, like, you're not going to keep being bad.
No, yeah,
Right?
but
Like,
you
it's
have
only
keep
gonna
doing
get better.
Oh my God, I love it. That's exactly what you should be doing. And the big secret with writing is like anyone can do it. Anyone can learn to be a great writer. So like, yeah, that's amazing. I love that.
Thanks.
Good luck.
Hello, this is a question for Matt Braley. I was wondering what were some difficulties you had in being a showrunner?
I'll give you one that's really specific is delegating. It's really difficult. You've done all this work. You've got your show. It's your baby. And by the time you're in charge, you don't want to let anyone else touch it. And so, like, I wanted to do, like, all this boarding and all this voice directing and all this, like, acting and all this writing, but you just can't. It's too much for one person, you know what I mean? So halfway between season 1, I learned sort of by, not by choice, but because I had to let go and to start trusting the people around me. And then you'll be amazed at how much better the show becomes when you let everybody do what they're really good at. But it's really hard because you just want it to be so good. And you're like, this is my shot, you know what I mean? But like, really, learn to let go a little bit, invite people in, you know what I mean? Don't like keep all these story elements, this big secret, share with people. And it's a much better experience that way. But it took me like a whole season to learn that.
Thank you.
Yeah, great question.
Hi, I'm in the animation industry here in Atlanta and in Ghana, and okay. If each of you could create your own series, especially with the rise in indie animation right now, what would you create, and how would you do it? What hurdles do you see?
Jane Bond.
Oh,
I'm just ready for like a woman to get out there and kick some ass and take some names and like, no offense, guys, but you had a good run. Come on.
That's fair.
I really don't have an answer for that. In a way, I do and I don't. I write books now. That's one of my main things. And so Nickelodeon is reading my new book. It's called Lucky Scramble. It's a graphic novel about competitive speed cubing. And so Nickelodeon actually just last week wanted to read it to possibly buy the movie rights to it. And so I hope that can be made. So
Heck yeah.
yeah. Besides that, something like Samurai Jack.
Also, wait, talk about writing, because we were just talking about writing. Like, do you have any writing?
Writing.
How do you get better?
You know what? I was this guy named Dean Dubois. He's a writer director. He wrote and directed Lilo and Stitch. But we got to take classes at Disney a lot. But he wants to get a class. He said he started off by saying, just so you know, there's a difference between story structure and storyboarding, right? And so and this is a storyboarding class. And so yeah, I agree with like the writing. It's going off of his question, but there is an art to storyboarding, right? Staging and stuff like that. And so. I don't know. I'm totally off his question. I'm sorry, man. But
No. This is interesting for me. I'm gonna use this later.
Oh, but I don't know. Samurai Jack. That's all I know.
Funny enough, that was the perfect thing to say for shorthand. Like, I get it. Yeah. All right.
Oh man, I
Yes,
love
sir.
giant robots. I'd love to make some kind of giant robot thing. There's not enough out there. There should be more. But I don't know how you would do it like on an indie budget, you know what I mean? But I'd love that stuff.
You and I need to talk. Like, no, seriously, I love mechanical stuff, and I worked on Archer. We have we are the masters of detail and saving money. So.
I like the sound of that.
God,
Yeah.
I love that.
One of my very good friends is the agent that found Archer as a comic book and packaged it to become what it is.
Oh, nice. Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have about 5 minutes. So we're gonna do like rapid fire questions.
Speed round. Let's go.
Okay, so for a show that you planned on either voicing or making storyboarding for several seasons, let's say it gets canceled early before it finishes, what's the best way to cope or deal with that?
Cry.
Therapy.
Move on.
Hello.
Hi.
So, what exactly inspired you to get into the animation industry? Your voice acting. What got you really into the zone? I ask because I'm an aspiring animator myself.
So maybe like what helps get you into the zone. Focus.
I'm a really emotional person, but like there's not a lot of bad shit happening in my life, and so like being able to take a script and be like, yeah, I can put myself in those shoes and cry it out or scream it out or whatever, and it's like a really good therapy session, and then I'll go to actual therapy later. So that.
Sometimes just talking with other people in the industry or other artists and stuff like that is, I work very alone, but like sometimes like honestly doing little things like this, like panels, meeting new people, going to cons and stuff like that is incredibly inspiring.
Music for me, just something about music, listening to music, it really gets the story juices flowing, you know?
Yeah, I get that.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm always in the zone. I don't know. Yeah, maybe that was the trauma of acting school. Like I could act. You could wake me up out of bed in the middle of the night, and I'll be like, "Okay, we're crying. Let's cry." Like I don't know. It's terrifying. I don't know. I always want to be acting. Like if anyone's like, "Hey, would you want to?" I'm like, "Yes." When? Send me the dates. Like I'll be there. So yeah, unless it's like something that's like bad for the world, I'm in it. I'm ready.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm someone who doesn't have much experience with art in general. Is it too late to start working to get into the animation industry?
Never.
I was 30 when I made the switch to voice acting. I was 30. I don't know how old you are, but like most people think you have to be 18. Nah.
Just be ready to work hard, right? And catch up. Like just practice. You're gonna have to work a little harder. You got a little catching up to do, but if you want it, you'll do it.
You got this. You got this.
For sure. Good luck.
You got this.
Hi.
Hi. So what's the most underrated project you guys have done that you really wish people knew about or more likely know about?
I had a pilot that didn't get picked up, and I thought it was fucking fire. Sorry for my language. I was like, I got to like I met Fred Tatasciore, and I was like, wow, that's what talent is, and now I know I'll never have it. No, but it was awesome. There's as many awesome stories that don't get to be told. Like they're out there, and I hope one day someone's looking through the bin and brings that one back to life because it was so dope.
I also worked on something with Fred Tatasciore called Little Big Awesome. It was a show on Amazon that was super sweet, and I played an anthropomorphic nail file named Frasha. And nobody saw it, and it was so cute, and I miss it. It was very sweet.
That was Sunil's show, right? Is that Sunil Hall?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sick.
Matt saw it.
I love Sunil's work, man. Awesome stuff. Similar, I worked on this show called Billy Dilly's Subterranean Adventure.
I was on Billy Dilly. That was my first
Oh,
show. I'm Judy.
I actually knew that. Yeah.
I'm Judy. I didn't know
man,
you
we
were
go way
Dilly.
back. There you go. I was a revisionist on that show, and the showrunner, Aaron Springer, is such a genius. Please check out his work. I don't know if you guys have seen Periwinkle Travels the World, but this man, he's like a SpongeBob artist. He's just a genius, and like his work is so wonderful, and I think specifically that show was underappreciated.
I don't know if some of the stuff at Disney that we worked on to test for, I don't know if I can actually talk about or anything, but it would be really cool if there was like a number 2 of like this really funny white rabbit.
All right, so we're down to our last question, unfortunately.
Oh no.
Hey y'all. I just had if you guys had any advice for like struggling or inspiring indie creators who are trying to work on their own and have like jobs and stuff.
Wait, you asking survival jobs?
Yeah, I work 50 hours a week and I come home and look at that computer screen and I'm like, I want to go to bed.
Yeah, don't work 50 hours a week is my answer. Like I said, I burnt myself out. Like you just got to you got to eat the ramen noodles.
Mm-hmm.
You got to leave time for your art because if you're burnt out, yeah, you are not going to go have that burst. Like you have to be able to make time. And I know that sounds like privilege. Like, yeah, some of us don't have anyone paying our bills. Trust me, I know. When I first went out to LA, I had $1,200 a month in bills, and just not, and that's before my rent. That was just loans. So it was heinous, and I had a million jobs, and then there was just almost nothing left most of the time. So that's not fair to you. It's not fair to your art. So cut back where you can. Be really ruthless, because the quicker you do that, the quicker you'll start seeing results, and then you won't have to eat as many ramen noodles. That's my advice.
I agree with that. If you're saying like it's just don't spend money you don't need to spend. I mean, live like a pauper.
Yeah, get another roommate. It sucks.
Yeah.
Get
Do what
another
it
roommate.
takes. Do what it takes so you don't have to waste your time for money.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, make your bills, your food, everything as small as possible.
Yeah.
For years, possibly. But do what it takes
Yeah,
to
a
make
less
it.
good car, or maybe no car if that's cheaper. But like it sucks. It does. Like I never want to go back to that. I don't envy like that time in my life, but better to do that and
have the time. Yeah. Have the time to do your art.
and you'll be happier. It's weird, but you will be, because when you're making your art, I'm sure you're happy.
This is probably not, I mean, I can only imagine what you're going through, and that sounds incredibly difficult. I think, Nikki, you were kind of alluding to, like, you do your best work when you're happier, you know what I mean? And I think that maybe don't forget to engage with the simple things in life that are free, like taking walks in the park, going outside. When I was in school and I was burning myself out, I didn't see the sun for too long. I wasn't eating very well. You know what I mean? Like not healthy things. And I do think even seeing the sun every so often, it really helps.
Oh my God! And when I was broke and I couldn't buy things, I would just walk through Target. I didn't buy it, but I let myself pretend to shop. And then I'd be like, I know what's out there. I have enough. Gotta go home. It just, whatever is gonna calm you down. And just, I know it's easier said than done, but your art is, it's your gift to the world. So you're shortchanging everyone when you're not doing it.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Best of luck.
Cool. Thank you all so much for coming today. I hope it was informative for everyone. Can we give another round of applause to our panel?
Thank you all for coming. It is so hot today.
Is it possible? I've seen some authors do this. Could we get us? We can turn around and do a selfie with this huge audience behind us. Let's do that.